We've been going through a series on the fruits of the Spirit, and we're going to go over probably one of my least exercised fruits. So I'm going to go ahead and say thank you for the patience, because it's been a while since I got a chance to stand up and speak to y'all, so I'm bound to make a few mistakes. I'm human. So kindness, one of the fruits of the Spirit, outlined in Galatians 5:22 through 23. In order to really exhibit kindness, we kind of got to understand what it is. And a definition by Merriam-Webster's dictionary is a disposition to contribute to the happiness of others. And I would even add in there on the end of it, a disposition to contribute to the happiness of others without the interest of self-gain. And that can really be hard, especially when we're operating outside of the power of Jesus, outside of his strength, because we in and of ourselves are selfish-minded people. Or at least I am. I can't speak for anyone else. I am a very selfish-minded person when left up to my own devices. So it's hard to truly do something for someone else without looking for what I'm going to get in return, or what favor this is going to buy me, or something to that effect. So kindness in and of itself has to be a selfless act. And like I said, doing that in and of ourselves is extremely difficult and almost impossible. The only way we can do it is through the strength and power of Jesus Christ. And I believe Philip outlines this in Philippians chapter 2, verses 3 through 5. It says, "Don't be selfish and try to impress others, but be humble, thinking of others better than yourself. Don't look out for your own interests, but take an interest in others too. You must have the same attitude that Christ Jesus had." So it points us, for our model for kindness, we have to look to Jesus, because he was the embodiment of true kindness. He was always doing his best to help others, to feed others, to make sure that they were taken care of, they were clothed, they were fed. And he even went that extra mile at the very end and laid down his life so that we could have a chance to see salvation, because in and of ourselves we can't. But when we're thinking about kindness and how to do an act for someone else that doesn't necessarily involve a gain for us, it's real easy to do when we think of our friends, our family, our loved ones. These people, at least for me, I would lay down my life for. So it's real easy to find it in myself to have a sense of kindness about me every day when I'm going about my everyday life with my family. Where the difficulty truly comes in is being kind to someone who I'm not particularly fond of. That coworker at work that just does everything in their power to do something to make my life worse. Or that person in this somewhat friend group that just always seems to talk behind your back. And those are the people that, at least for me, I find the most difficult time trying to be kind to, trying to do something unselfish for them. But I got a lot of wisdom at one point in time when I was going through treatment. I had somebody, they kind of, how can I put this? They kind of put me up to a dare almost. They were like, okay, you're always thinking 10 steps ahead. You're always trying to make these extra moves, get something out of someone else, why don't you do this? One random act of kindness every day and see if your life doesn't change. And it doesn't take much to do one random act of kindness. It could be as much as holding the door for someone. In treatment, it was like
complimenting them.
Complimenting them. Hey, your hair looks nice. Hey, or in treatment, it was like doing someone's chore for them. And whenever they get ready to do it, it's just like, hey, bro, I got you. Or wiping tables down when you didn't have to, cleaning something, and just giving it that extra mile for no particular reason. And I found that it brought me truly internal happiness. I found a sense of happiness and joy by spreading that kindness to someone else. And in Proverbs, chapter 25, verses 21 through 22, it outlines that if your enemies are hungry, give them food to eat. If they are thirsty, give them water to drink. You will heap burning coals of shame upon their head, and the Lord will reward you. And I don't think that they were meaning literal coals on your enemy's head. That would be a little funny to see, though. I think it was more for our frame of mind that you're gonna get more out of it than just being kind. You're gonna get that peace of mind out of it by being able to love your enemy and be kind to your enemy and show them the true embodiment of Jesus Christ. And honestly, I've tried this before, and it's a weird reaction that you get from people that truly have a distaste for you. And whenever you start doing just random nice things for them, they're kind of like looking for the other shoe to drop, and when it never does, they kind of see a light bulb go off in their head. They're like, oh, this is genuine, this is real. And then it gives you that opportunity to reach them. Because half the time they'll be like, hey, what happened to you? You used to be something different, and now you're different. What happened? And that's your opportunity to go, well, thank you. Now let me tell you about my Jesus. But I wish I could say it always goes like that, but sometimes it takes a little bit more foresight than I have to see those opportunities when they arise. But when you do get an opportunity to exercise that, it reaps its own reward. And not only that, it's actually called for. It's pretty much essentially a command from Jesus. In Matthew 25, there's the parable of the sheep and the goats. I don't know if anybody's familiar with it, but I can give you a flyover version. At the end of times, when Jesus is seated on the throne, he calls all the people together, and he separates them into two groups, the sheep and the goats. And he brings them forward. He first brings the sheep forward, and he says that they have achieved the kingdom of heaven because he said, for I was hungry and you fed me. I was thirsty and you gave me drink. I was a stranger and you invited me into your home. I was naked and you gave me clothing. I was sick and you cared for me. I was in prison and you visited me. So, and he said, whatever you've done unto the least of these, you've done unto me. Essentially embodying the do unto others as you would have done unto yourself, or love your neighbor as yourself. And they said, Lord, Lord, when did we see you naked and gave you clothes? When were you hungry and we fed you? And sorry, I got a little backwards, but that's when he said, whatever you've done unto the least of these, you've done unto me. And then he called the goats up and he said, depart from me, I know you not. And they said, Lord, Lord, if I had known it was you, I would have done so much more. And the time had already passed. So, it's essentially Jesus' command to us that we need to love our neighbor and do the little random acts of kindness for anyone that we can. Because you never know when it's an angel walking in human clothes. And that went a lot quicker than I thought. Well, that was all I had for tonight. I guess the one question that I can have for tonight is, what is one random act of kindness that you can do and start piling on that? And you don't really have to answer that small group, just think about it to yourself. What's the start of one random act of kindness to someone else that I can do unselfishly without a sense of gain or want? All right, I guess we're going to break into small groups.